Hello and welcome back to the Tapped In podcast. I'm your host, Bailey, and today's episode, we're getting deep, as we do. We're getting into the nitty gritty, okay? We're getting into the big, thick parts of our shadow that we prefer to avoid, but that's okay because every new layer that we have to unpack comes with some sort of resistance because it's always going to be uncomfortable, it's always going to be confusing, and it's always going to just be a layer of confusion always. So I think that it's important that we can at least acknowledge that it's uncomfortable to unpack certain parts of our shadow and certain parts of our ego and certain parts of our body that feel uncomfortable. I think it's okay to speak on how uncomfortable it is, but we cannot let the discomfort affect the way that we actually decide to investigate these feelings. So we can ignore it for sure, but how long are you going to choose to ignore it? How long are you going to choose to negate? Is that flickering or is that just me? If it is, I'm sorry if that's distracting you. But how long are we going to choose to negate these feelings based off discomfortability? The word negate means to make an ineffective, null, or the opposite of what is. To cancel or make ineffective. Oh, okay. I guess, yeah, like if we want to negate these feelings, if we want to make them ineffective, if we want to make them just a passive thing, then eventually they're going to come up in a way that revolves some sort of destruction. And I think that when those things do come up in life, we'll be able to know how to navigate them with more ease and a little just more, I don't want to say comfortability, because when unfortunate things happen to us, it doesn't make us comfortable, but I think the reaction will be better than if we didn't decide to do the inner work. Long-winded intro to say, today I wanted to talk about how we become our own worst enemies. And to me, like, I feel that this has been something that has been generational. I really do. I think that that's just something that we just, no matter how good the parenting has been, no matter how, like, what good friends you have, whatever the case is, I just think that it's just in our human nature to always feel like that we need to do better. And I think that that is a great thing, but I also think that it can be one of our worst traits, because if we just feel like that we're never enough and never doing good enough, then for one, on the positive side, we won't ever get better, So if we don't challenge ourselves, how are we supposed to actually do better? So that's why I think that it is a good thing that we challenge ourselves and make ourselves be like, okay, like, how can I progress? How can I get better? How can I evolve? But then I think there's another side of the coin where it's like, okay, like, when are we going to ever give ourselves like a chance to calm down and give ourselves a break and give ourselves an opportunity to just like rest and be authentic instead of just being like, you're doing this wrong again. You know what I mean? Like, just always constantly making ourselves feel like shit. And I personally feel like that's social media. And I know that the press, and of course, like, I think back to like freaking medieval days sometimes where I'm like, okay, like, I know that if anything, people were worse than we are now back then. Okay, they were apparently burning witches at the stake wasn't even a thing. Apparently they were only hung. I don't know. I heard that somewhere recently that had made me rethink everything about, not everything about witches, but like, why do we say burn at the stake? Anyway, I don't quote me on that. I have no proof. Yes, I just feel like that back in the day, things were definitely worse. Like, the building of human society was probably so hard to live in. So many diseases, shacks to live in, freaking... It was probably really hard. Okay, that was probably a really hard time to live in. So I'm sure that the self-doubt and the self-deprecation during that time was also bad, because everyone was just poor and hungry, apparently. I don't know, just based off history. So I feel like in today's society, we are a lot more fruitful in a lot of areas in life. And I think social media has been such an amazing tool to be able to help us be able to elevate our lives and be more ourselves, be more authentic, be able to sprout more of our ideas and opportunities. But I also think that it has done crazy detrimental things to our overall being. And do I blame strictly social media? No. Of course, a lot of it has to do with our upbringing as well. Like, a majority of it does. I would say it's a 60-40 situation. And 40% for social media is still quite high. So that's why I think that, like, your upbringing does have a lot to do with it. But even if your upbringing maybe was amazing, but then you got into social media, then, like, that could have done just as much damage as an upbringing, I personally feel like. So I wanted to start off today's episode with a pros and cons list about social media. Okay, everyone get out your pen and paper. So, pros. You can make good money off of it. Okay, you can make a living off of social media. I find that amazing. I find the fact that someone can literally upload YouTube videos, upload TikToks, upload podcasts. They can just be so authentic and make a living. That's so fucking cool. Tell a Victorian child that in today's society, you can literally make money off of like cosplaying cartoon characters on TikTok and make $30 million a year. You know, beats me. I don't know how you would ever be able to explain that, but it is possible. Okay. Open creativity. Everyone has an opportunity to express their most creative ideas, and they have every single opportunity to do so. As long as you have an iPhone and a freaking idea, you can make anything happen. Okay. And I love that because there's always going to be an audience for it, which follows my next point. You will have a community in which you are creating for. Not that you're creating for anyone but yourself, but I think that it's so cool that no matter what you do, there's going to be a community for it, and there's going to be a community of people that love what you make. And like I said, it's not that you're posting for a community, you're posting for the sake of you're posting for the sake of your authenticity and your creativity, and you're just trying to get ideas out there. That is hopefully why you're posting. But I love that no matter what, there's always going to be a community of people that love what you make, and finding community on social media is so fun. Experiencing other creatives. I love the fact that we can experience other creatives and like even famous people, see their progression from the beginning of their career to where they are now. Like no matter who they are, no matter what famous person, influencer, TikToker, whatever, I love that we can kind of see someone's life and career kind of start from the ground up. And I think that that is something so beautiful that social media can provide. Like it can provide that you can start from ground zero and get to a point that maybe not that they're at, because maybe that's not what your journey is supposed to look like, but you can go from 0 to 100. Like you really can. And it is just so possible. And I love that social media can show you not how to do it exactly, but social media can show you how to do it. But I like that social media can show you like, I started from here and I got here, you know, with a lot of older people and, you know, of course, people that I guess have, you know, been in the industries for a long time. It's kind of hard for us to know exactly how did you start? How did you get there? You know what I mean? But I think social media is a great outlet for us to kind of learn how did they get from point A to point B, you know, C to D, all that stuff. It's so fun. Social media is fun. I love making a measly little TikTok. I love watching TikToks. Earlier today, I was about to take a test and I was literally watching dogs, like a dog dancing video. And I was like, dude, the fact that I can just sit in my car and watch a dog dancing video and it's making me have genuine joy and laughter. Like, social media is so funny and so fun. And I love that I can live in a timeline that I can watch dogs dancing. And it's just the cutest, funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And it just made me laugh so hard. Opportunities. Endless opportunities on social media, okay? You can DM anyone. Anyone can DM you. You can start a new friendship. You can start a relationship. You can start a career relationship. You can start a financial opportunity. Like, so many opportunities can happen in social media. It really is just like taking that dive and reaching out to that person, responding to that person, sliding up on that story, posting that promo, like so many opportunities to become the person that you want to be. And say you don't even want to be an influencer, but you want to use social media in order to market your business per se. There's so many opportunities for you to market your business through other people's social media. If they promote you on a story or a post or whatever, you know, or like whatever the case is, there's just so many beautiful outlets for people to experience you or your business or your YouTube or whatever the case is through social media. And I find that so beautiful. I really do. Nostalgic. Social media has so much nostalgia. Like, I love going to TikTok and seeing those fun TikToks that are kind of like 2016 core. You know what I mean? Like, I just love looking at like the old memes that we used to laugh at and the old Vines that we used to laugh at, and like the way Tumblr was just so taking over us when we were 12. Like, I love hearing the old music we used to listen to. Like, I just love how nostalgic social media can be as well. And I think that's one of the hardest things for us to let go, is the fact that it's not the same as it was when we were younger, but it was definitely better because it was way different, way less pressure. Okay, it was just cute. It was just cute little videos, cute little posts, and like that was it. And I loved that. But it's definitely different now. But I love that we can go to social media and still kind of be able to reflect on what it used to be. And that's nostalgic. It's cute. It's happy. It's fun. We can look at our old accounts that we made when we were literally 11, 12. If you still have those accounts, you can look at old photos, you know, like it's adorable. I love that part as well. And I'm sure there's many more pros. But we're on to the cons now, okay? This is going to take me a bit, but we're going to circle back. We always do. Leads to negative self-doubt. Yes. I mean, I don't know why I wrote negative self-doubt when I just think self-doubt. It just leads to self-doubt. It leads to making you feel like that you're observing other people's lives and you're thinking that your life is dull. And you're leading to think that your life won't amount to anything if you don't have X amount of followers, X amount of likes. And it just leads you to thinking that you'll never get to someone else's point just because they have more and they got it at a quicker pace, or they're making better content, have better quality stuff. It just makes you think that, damn, like, I'm never going to get to that point because look at them. They have it all. You know what I mean? Makes you rethink your own path. And it, like, seeing how other people's paths played out, it makes you think that your path is wrong. So it kind of ties in with what I said earlier. Like, it's cool that we can be able to see the progression of people's paths in their lives from, 0 to 100. But then it's also hard whenever we're in the midst of the journey and we're kind of like, how come I haven't reached my peak yet, when it seems like they only reached it in a couple months or a couple years and I'm still here like 10 years later, you know what I mean? It's like, it's hard because we start to doubt our own path, as if everyone's path is supposed to look the same. Everyone's path is supposed to be different and everyone's path is supposed to be uniquely theirs. And I think that we get lost in the sauce in that, for sure. Comparison, duh. Do I even have to get into it? The comparison is, and this is one that I struggle with the most, and this isn't just like, oh, their lives look better than me, oh, like they're doing this, they're doing that, and I'm watching them in bed, or I'm watching them in a classroom, whatever. Like, it's not just about that. It's also literally about just like beauty standards. And of course, we all know this. We all have experienced this. Like, and I don't think that it's just women. I just feel like the comparison game is so detrimental and annoying. And I feel bad for kids younger, like, 15 and under, even like 16, honestly. I just feel so bad for younger kids because it just sucks that there's this ideal way to look and ideal way to like live. And it just sucks that like the most followed, the most praised are the ones that look a certain way or act a certain way. And it just sucks, you know? I think that it's so easy to compare ourselves, compare our lives, compare our journeys. And I feel like when talking about medieval times back in the day, yes, they could have compared themselves to the kings and queens that were like living in the fucking castles or whatever. But like, I feel like they didn't know what Sandra was doing across the world. You know what I mean? They didn't know that Jordan was able to freaking kayak the springs of Maui. You know what I mean? Like they didn't know what was happening on the other side of the world. And even if they did, they weren't, from my observation, they weren't in a state of like, oh, I wish that I was, you know what I mean? Like they probably were just like, oh, I wish I had fucking food, or I wish I had milk in my cow. Or they probably were just, oh, I wish that the well was full. Like, I don't know, okay? These are so dumb comparisons, but I just think that, like, the fact that we can know that someone's, like, going to Hawaii for the first time, or, like, getting married, or having a destination wedding, and, like, all this stuff, like, the fact that we can see all of that, it's just so easy to compare and contrast. And it just, and lack of better words, sucks. Okay? Because it's like, I'm happy for them. It's not that I'm ever passing on judgment. It's not that I'm ever being like, ugh, they don't deserve it. No, it's literally just the fact that it leads to self-deprivation. And it sucks. Time consuming. Why do we spend so much time on that? Like, after I scroll on social media, I'm like, why am I spending so much time on it? Like, crazy. And then I leave feeling worse than I felt when I went on. Unless I'm watching the dancing dog video. Attention spans, we already know. Okay, short as fuck. And definitely somewhere that I honestly, I'm not happy about it. I'm not, people, I'm not being, you know, I'm being very general. I'm not saying this is everyone, but a lot of people don't like to read books or go on walks without a phone or watch movies. And sometimes movies aren't a thing for people. Sometimes people don't like movies, but I think that it is just kind of annoying that, you know, like a 2-hour movie, people are like, 2 hours? I'm like, yeah, like a movie's 2 hours. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even think, I could say my attention span has got to a point that might be toxic, but I really don't think that it has. Like, I can sit and read 10 pages of a book. I can sit and watch a 2-hour movie. Like, I just think it depends on my mood, you know, like if I'm tired, or if I just don't like the movie, or if I just don't like the book, like, I'm gonna put it down. But like, it's more of just the fact that, like, we're getting stimulated after stimulated after stimulated, watching video, post. I don't need to get too into that. Judgment and shame. We judge people hella on social media. We judge the way we live. We judge who they're dating. We judge their character even though we don't know them. We judge the way, did I already say the way they look? If I didn't, we judge the way they look. We judge so many things about people. And granted, even if social media didn't exist, we would judge people because it's in human nature to judge. And don't get me wrong, sometimes every now and again, it's fun to let out a little like, why is she wearing that? You know, like that. I wouldn't even say that that's judgment. It's just kind of like curiosity. But I think that there is just such a level of judgment on social media that just kind of makes it a little like, okay, we're getting a little overbearing here. You know what I mean? And then shame, it just leads to us kind of also, for me at least, if you're a self-aware person, at least you kind of feeling like, why am I so judgy? Like, why do I care so much if they broke up? Or why do I care so much about this person's relationship status? Or why do I care so much? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, why do we care so much about someone else's experience. And this is something that, again, human nature, okay? Like, this is just a part of our human nature. It's been a part of our human nature since the beginning of time. But I do think that it's at a level now with social media where it's a little like, okay, guys, like, let's pull the brakes. Like, can these people go through a divorce, or can these people like go through a hard time? Like, can these people live their lives without us having to be like, oh, well, they deserve it, or it sucks for them, like, karma's a bitch, like, blah, blah, blah. You know? Anyway. Ruined self-esteem. Kind of already went over that. Consumerism. We cannot help but buy shit that 60, and I'm being gracious, 50% of the time we don't need. I just don't know why, like, consumerism is so bad, and it's all of the ads. It's all of just, you know, yeah, it's the ads. It's just so easy. And granted, it's like, okay, like, I understand this is how influencers make their money. They make their money off of promotions. They make their money off of making ads. They make their money off of this stuff. That's why I'm not passing on judgment for people that do ads and for people that have to put ads on their YouTube videos. Like, make your money, okay? I don't mind that necessarily. I'm talking about the platforms themselves, like Instagram and YouTube themselves, like actually actively putting so many ads, TikTok, so many ads that I feel like, you know, whenever you would watch like cable TV and you felt like every 2 minutes, a 3-minute to 5-minute commercial break would happen, and then the show would come back on, and then it'd be like 5 minutes this time maybe, and then it would be like a 10-minute commercial break, and you're like, oh. That's kind of how I feel when I'm scrolling on TikTok. I feel like I get one video and then like 3 ads, and then I get like 2 videos and then 5 ads. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it's so annoying. The consumerism is insane. And I just think that social media, again, great outlet for someone to make money, great outlet for opportunities in, you know, small businesses, and not even small businesses, but just bigger, you know, companies to be able to give out money to people just for talking about a little lip gloss or something. Like, I think that is so cool. But on the flip side, when I'm thinking about like how annoying it is in the consumerism aspect, I'm thinking of the more corporate side of it all. I'm not thinking of like the influencers that are trying to, you know, make a bag, like make your bag. I'm talking about like the actual business themselves. It's annoying. False news, fake news all the fucking time, people falling for it, and then people passing on judgments, whoever the fake news is about. I just think that we never really know what's going on, and we never truly know who a person is. And it sucks that we feel like that we know everything about a situation. We feel like we know everything about that person. We know everything about, you know, how it all played out. We just think that we know everything because of what TMZ is fucking saying, or what news outlets are saying. And granted, sometimes they're right, you know, sometimes they're right, and I'm not going to discriminate that, but I just feel like we fall for fake news so much that it makes us over categorize a person, and it just kind of sucks for them. I feel bad. Drama and gossip kind of ties into that. But I guess you could say cyberbullying. I don't know how often that happens anymore, to be honest. I mean, I guess you could say hate comments are cyberbullying. So that happens a lot. And it sucks because hate comments are not fun for anyone. It literally makes people delete their whole accounts. It makes people want to not exist anymore. It makes people, you know, feel like shit about themselves, make them want to stop doing what they're doing. Like, hate comments suck. And thankfully, I have not had to deal with an influx of hate comments, but I've experienced some people on social media that talk about how bad the hate comments are and how it makes them just so upset with their lives and with themselves. And even if it's for a short period of time, it still sucks that someone that we watch and admire has to go through hate comments. It's just sad. It makes the youth grow up faster. I think that, you know, with the whole drunk elephant situation with the kids and the skincare, like, I know that that's not innocent, but it's kind of innocent. I just think that there's so many things that the kids these days don't get to experience because they have social media now. And, you know, I'm seeing so many kids just like wanting to scroll on TikTok, and I'm just like, it, you know, and it's like, I understand they're growing up in a different time, like Bailey, get with the times, you know, like I am with the times. It's just like, you know, it just makes me feel like, damn, like I hope that when I'm a parent one day, I can teach my kids to, you know, be able to, yes, utilize technology in a way that like you can be able to live in this society, but also like play outside, you know, even balance, you know, like balance is a good thing. It's just when they're introduced to it so young, then you can't help but wonder like, when in life will they turn around, you know? And I just feel like our kids these days are just kind of thrown to it a little too young. And, you know, older people could have said that about us when we were younger, but it was different. And you know it. You know it was different. Even if you're a millennial, you know it was different. All in all, to say, I think that I have more cons than pros. And a lot of the cons were about self-deprecation. And I think that is just something that leads to us becoming our own worst enemies. It leads to us self-loathing. And I don't want us to feel like that as a society that we have to base our lives off of the opinions of others. We have to base our lives off of the structure of someone else's life, or we have to base our lives off of what our parents told us or our grandparents. I think that, you know, we can take advice from people that we love if we truly want to. But I think that, you know, and on social media as well, we can take advice from people that, you know, maybe we like where they're at in life. But I think that it's also important to just keep in mind, like, something that I hear on a repeated basis every time from someone successful. And I know it's very basic advice, so I'm sure this is like the PR response, but I've taken it to heart. You know, I have taken the fact that a lot of social media people and famous people and all this stuff, they just always say, remain in your most authentic self. Every single person that I look up to and that I respect on social media and that I watch, they always say, remain yourself and be authentic. And again, that could be the most basic advice, the most cliche stuff you'll ever hear in your life. But I think that if we can look at that with a really serious tone, I think that it can lead us to loving ourselves more. And I think that, you know, even if you do live in authenticity, sometimes it's hard to not be like, damn, like I should have done better. Or, oh, I know that I can do this better. Or I'm never going to be as good as her. I'm never going to be good enough. I'm never going to be able to do this, blah, blah, blah. Like, we can still be authentic and still feel that way about ourselves. But I think that when we step into authenticity, we can at least be like, but I'm still proud of myself. You know, like, and I can still look in the mirror and say, I love you. We can still look in the mirror and be grateful for who we see looking back at us. And I think that we have to drop what we hold so deeply to our hearts, which is self-hatred and self-loathing, and just being our own worst enemies. And a couple ways that I think that you can be able to let go of being your own worst enemy is be able to make a list of everything you love about yourself. And this sounds cliche, I understand. But I think when you make a step that's weirdly cringy maybe or uncomfortable, you can be able to actually acknowledge it, first of all, and then be able to be like, you know what? Hell yeah, I do like that about myself. You know what I mean? So I would definitely say, like, make a list that you love about yourself and list down things that, you know, you've always been complimented on and things that just people say that you're good at, and just kind of write down things that you feel like are your strong suits, and really look at that list and be so grateful the fact that you have a lot of qualities that a lot of people don't, you know? And not that it's a comparison thing, but it's just a thing of being like, I'm glad that I have these things, because now I can be able to supply these things for somebody else, and they can be able to supply their strong suits to me. It's not a comparison game. It's a how can we help each other game. Not game really, but you know what I mean. I think another way to be able to release the anguish of inner turmoil is to be able to just accept what we can't control. I think we have a hard time as humans. It doesn't matter what human you are. We have a hard time letting go of control. And we have a hard time accepting the now and accepting like that things can change that are out of our control. So just keep in mind and remember that all of the really, really amazing things and not so amazing things happen out of our control. Is it all by God? I don't think so. I think that there are things that God does that overall benefit us, but whether it's good or bad. But I think that, you know, and by bad, I mean like a lesson, like how can we learn a lesson? But I also think that there are things that happen in life based off of decisions we make. And it's because we want to be in control, or it's because we want a certain outcome, or it's because we just can't seem to give ourselves some grace or rest or whatever the case is, you know. And I think that when we are able to just kind of like surrender and just kind of like let it flow, I think we're going to actually be able to get the results that we have been praying for. And when we get the results we've been praying for, we can be like, you know, like finally, like as soon as I decided to just let go and let God and just be, the things started coming to me and I just started existing. And that's something else I want to say, like, let yourself just exist. I think that like this kind of falls into the control. Like we have a very hard time letting things unfold and letting things just kind of work out for our best interest. We feel this tight grip that we just want to hold on to and just be like, no, like I see it working out. Like, no, like I swear, like I know, like, like if I just do it, like let me do it and then it'll be good. No, I think we need to loosen the grip and we need to just take some deep breaths, calm our nervous system, and just let things be. And to some people that could seem lazy, to some people that could be like doing nothing, but I don't think that's the case. I think that when we just exist and we let everything around us just exist, I think we're able to actually let what's meant for us come to us. But we just have to let it happen in an organic, natural way and not in a way that feels man-made and structured and just so like, oh, if I do XYZ, I will get ABC. And you know what I mean? Like we just need to kind of just exist and breathe and function in our own way. Last piece of advice, don't let social media depict so much pressure that you have on yourself, because it's so easy to make ourselves feel like that we are never doing enough or never have enough or will never make enough. Whenever we see just influencers and famous people like making it in this life and walking it on red carpets and doing fashion shows and landing movies, it's really hard for us to ever think that we could get to that point. But with focusing on what we can control and due diligence and determination, we can really truly get exactly what we want and exactly where we want to go. But I think that whenever we let social media kind of like degrade us down, it can procrastinate us. It can make us lag and it can make us slack on what we actually love, because it's like, well, I'm not as rich as them, or I don't have as many followers as them. But I think we can actually be like, you know what? Social media, as real as it looks, it's not. I just think that we need to remind ourselves how fake it all is and how glamorized it is. You know, like, you're not posting you down bad, sad. You know what I mean? Like, you're posting you out with your friends. You're posting you when you look hot. You're posting you when you have a sick ass opportunity. You're posting you whenever you have good news, you know? But keep in mind that every single human has bad days. Every single human has been from the ground up. Every single human has hit some form of rock bottom, and we just didn't see it. And even if we did see it, you know, it's like, well, I guess we have the luxury to be able to say that we saw it, but don't let the societal pressure that social media has control the way that you feel about yourself and the way you feel about your journey, because I promise you, your journey is equally as powerful and equally as unique as the next. Even if you have 200 followers or 50 million, your journey is unique and your journey is powerful, and no matter how many lives you impact, you have impacted a life, and that should be enough within itself. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. It was way longer than I thought it was going to be. So if you stuck around all the way to the end, comment down below and say, I love myself. And thank you guys so much for tapping into the Tapped In podcast. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye.